All right, howdy folks. All right, hopefully now you know how to identify how to turn a decimal into a percentage, how to turn a fraction into a percentage, and hopefully you know how to turn a percentage into a decimal. Okay, what we're going to talk about now is how to identify the percentage of a number. Okay, and so here's the thing. You might have a question that says, what is 43% of 260? That's one kind of question that you would get. Okay, another kind of question you would get might go something like this. 37 is 26% of what number? All right, so 37 is 26% of what number? Or you might have 62 is what percent of 96? Okay, this is basically the only three questions that you can really be asked. I want you to notice something here. Each one of these has three numbers involved. Okay, there's the what, then there's the percent of, and then there's the number that you're taking the percentage of. Okay, and in each case, and the reason this happens is because typically you'll have like, hey, I need to know what 7% of 250 is. So if I do, that would be 0.07 is 7% as a decimal. And if I multiply that number times 250, okay, that gives me, I'm going to go here, 0.07 times 250. That gives me 17.5. And this is my answer. So 17.5 is 7% of 250. And you can see in this question that there's always three numbers. There's the percentage, there's the number that you're taking the percentage of, and you've got the answer that is the percentage of the other number. Okay, so you always have two numbers and one percentage. And here's what I'm showing you, is that some of the questions ask you to identify what the percentage of another number is. Some of them give you the percentage of the other number, but they're asking you, what is the other number? What is the number? 26% of what number is 37? And then the third kind of question asks you, what is the percent? If I know this number and I know this number, if I know that this is a percentage of this number, what is that percent? You have to always be given two of these pieces of information. You will always be given two pieces of this information, but you have to figure out which one is which one you're looking for. Now, here's a dead giveaway. If neither of the numbers have a percentage symbol after it, and you see the phrase "what percent," you're trying to identify a percent. If one of the numbers has a percent, then you know you're not looking for a percent, you're looking for one of the other two numbers. And then you have to decide, there's the of number and there's the is number, okay? The of number is the number, see, of 260, of 260. That number is the number that is always multiplied by the percentage, okay? And that gives you this number. But over here in the second one, we don't have the of number. 26% of what? 26% of some number, okay, that's the equals number, is 37. Now an is, that means equals. So here's the thing. Let's just make one problem here. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this number and this percentage, and this percentage, and this number, and this number. Let's just go with a simple one. Let's say 40% of $90. Okay, let's say it's money. Let's say it's $90. Okay? All right, so to find, here's what you do. To find a percentage of a number, you just multiply. Okay, so 40% as a decimal is 0.40. And then it'd be times 90. And if you do that in the calculator, here's what you get. 0.4 times 90, you would get 36. So we know that $36 is 40% of $90. Okay, and percentage means a portion of. I have another video on what percent means, and you can watch that if you need to. Okay, but we know our numbers are 40%, $90, and $36. Okay, so this question, there's three different ways to ask the same question with those three numbers. What is 40% of $90? The second way to ask it is $36 is 40% of what number, what dollar amount? Of how much money? The third one is $36 is what percent of $90? So as you can see, the problem is always the same. It's always 0.40 times 90 equals 36. But up here, we have 0.40 times 90 equals what? In this question, we know the 40%, so we're going to put 0.40 times, we don't know the what number, so that's a blank, equals, we know that the answer is 36. 36, well, let's just put a 36 there. Equals 36. And in this one, we don't know the percentage. So we're going to say percentage times $90 is equal to $36. So you can see that it's the same format in every one of these cases. So you're either going to be doing percentage times number equals a number, or percentage percentage times a number is equal to what you're trying to solve. Here you're trying to solve for this. And what we oftentimes do in math is, instead of putting a blank, we just put an X. Here we'll put an X, and here we'll put an X. Now this X is representing a percentage. Now this one is easy. You just multiply in your calculator 0.4 times 90, and X is equal to 36. What do you have to do here? This says 0.4 times X is equal to 36. You want the X to be by itself. So how are you going to get the X by itself? Well, you're going to divide. Divide by 0.4, divide by 0.4. So if you do 36 divided by 0.4 in your calculator, you're going to get 90. So what dollar amount? 36 is 40% of 90. Because what we did was we divided 36 by the percentage. And then the last one here, again, how do we get X by itself? We divide by 90, divide by 90, and 36 divided by 90 is 0.4. Move the decimal point over 2 places, or just multiply by 100, and you would get, you'd have to put a 0 there, okay? And you would get 40%. So here's what I want to do. I want to boil all this down to 3 basic rules. When you're doing these kinds of problems, you are either, there's one chance you're going to multiply and 2 chances you're going to divide. If you know the percentage and you know the of number, you're going to multiply, because of means multiply and is means equals. So some number equals 40% of 90, that's 0.4 times 90, and that'll give you 36. But if you know the percentage and the answer number, you're going to divide the answer number by the percentage. It's always going to be, in that case, 36 divided by the decimal. And every single time, here's a big rule, if your goal is to find a percentage, if that's what you're being asked to do, what percent, anytime you're trying to find a percent, you are dividing. That's why you learned how to turn a fraction into a percent. Because this is basically the same thing as turning a fraction into a percent. And what you typically do is you take the is number and divide it by the of number. So it's is over of, okay? And in this case, the is number is 36, and the of number is 90. and we would get 0.4, multiply by 100, we get 40, put a percentage symbol on, and it's 40%. So why don't we try one or two? Why don't you try one or two? I'll write them up on the board, and you try and figure them out. Okay? You're going to want to get a piece of paper out. You're going to want to do this with me. Don't just watch it. Get a piece of paper out and do this with me. All right, let's ask this. 92 is what percent of 263? 92 is what percent of 263? Why don't you go ahead and pause the video and try it. Okay, so hopefully you remembered that whenever you're doing a what percent question, you're dividing. And you're always dividing the is number by the of number, right? So it's going to be 92 divided by 263. If I get a calculator and I do 92 divided by 263, I get 0.3498. 0.3498. Then I'm going to multiply this number by 100. So if I multiply by 100, I get 34.98. Then I put a percentage symbol on it. We could just say 35%. But if we want a precise number, it's 34.98%. Okay? All right, hopefully that's what you got. All right, let me ask you another one. 167 is 20% of what number? All right? Now, remember, it's always, if this is a problem, see the of number? We always multiply the percentage times the what number. So if we don't know, or the of number, if we don't have the of number, then we can't do multiplication. Therefore, we're going to have to do division. And whenever we divide, we always divide the is number by the percentage. So it's going to be the is number, 167, divided by, the percentage is 20%, but we got to turn it into a decimal. So we're going to drop the percentage symbol, and we're going to divide by 100, and we get 0.20, or just 0.2. Well, I'll put 0.20. It's the same thing. So if we do 167 divided by 0.20, we get 835. And so the correct answer here, the what number, this is 835. Oh, and this one, the what percent, is 34.98%. Okay, let's do one more, and I want you to do it on your own. What is 84% of 1,200? What is 84% of 1,200? Go ahead and pause the video. Try and figure it out. All right, hopefully you gave this a shot. And remember, we have to remember, we always multiply the percentage times the of number, right? And since we have both of those numbers, we can multiply. We'll take 1,200 and we will multiply it by 84% as a decimal. We got to first turn it into a decimal. So 84%, drop the percentage symbol, divide by 100, and we get 0.84. So 1,200 times 0.84 is equal to, okay, let's go 1,200 times 0.84, enter, I get 1,008 equals 1,008, and that means that my what my is number is 1,008. So now I can say 1,008 is 84% of 1,200. 167 is 20% of 835, and 92 is 34.98% of 263. This is just sort of an introductory video on how to do these basic kinds of percentages, but let me encourage you in this. I promise you that you will not remember any of this if you don't do it. And when I say do it, I don't mean just do it for like 45 minutes in class. I mean go home and do it. Make these questions up for yourself. All these that I did up here, I just made them up. Make these questions up for yourself. Do lots of them. Find practice on the internet. Did you know the more that you do them in your brain, the more that you spend time doing it, the more your brain's going to remember. Your brain is going to say, I need to remember this stuff. Your brain will work for you. So make sure you do all of them, and as many of them as you can. You'll get really good at this. Eventually, you won't have any formulas. You won't have to remember that. You'll just know how to do it like I do. Okay? All right, well, good luck. I hope this helps.